Only those with the courage to fight join me. Top of the morning, 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 top of the morning.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video, and in this video, we will be getting to somewhat of a, guilty pleasure of mine if you can't tell. We're going to be doing another nostalgia side review of Mobile Fighter G Gundam. And whether or not this series is as good as we remember it, or is it just nostalgia clouding our mind and our judgment to make us think that something from the past was a lot better than what we remember. I'm doing this for you, not me, you. But before we get into this series, please be sure to subscribe to the channel as well as the notification bell to get notified for more content that I put out. As well, if you end up enjoying this video, be sure to hit me with a like and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on G Gundam. So, without any further ado, let's just get into it, y'all.
If she ain't got a butt, fucking get into it, yeah.
So, let's get into the series that if you grew up watching Gundam Wing, you probably end up skipping just because you got older, or maybe you just ended up not being super into anime. Mobile Fighter G Gundam is the most shonen Gundam series there probably is. Honestly, if you are into Gundam for its political commentary and thoughts on war, and watching children commit the M-word, then this series is not for you. I'm not gonna lie to you, the nostalgia for this series is heavy for me. I used to love this series as a kid. The video game Gundam Battle Assault 2 on PS1 had me on lock, and my boy Malik would actively beat a lot of us up on the block and palm some of our faces and scream, "Burning Finger!" With Witch from Mercury currently airing at the time of this recording and honestly being really good and well animated, I recommend checking it out if you haven't. It got me thinking of G Gundam. G Gundam is something different entirely, and that's not a bad thing. Imagine a Gundam series that is basically JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Gundams are basically stands at this point. There's a tournament arc, the power of love and friendship prevails, and there's basically the equivalent of Super Saiyan and Ki Blast in this series. G Gundam is just, dumb fun with a lot of dated racial stereotypes. Mobile Fighter G Gundam, also known in Japan as Mobile Fighting Legend G Gundam, is a 1994 Japanese animated television series produced by Sunrise and the 5th installment in the long-running Gundam franchise under the direction of Yasuhiro Imagawa. It was the first series in the Gundam franchise not set in the Universal Century timeline, being set in the Future Century timeline instead. The Mobile Fighter G Gundam television series originally aired in Japan from April 22nd, 1994 to March 31st, 1995 for a total of 49 episodes. The show would not reach North American audiences until many years later. Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, a series that succeeded G Gundam on Japanese television in 1995, was first localized in North America by Bandai Entertainment in early 2000. Gundam Wing was, as you know, the huge banger in the United States, while being broadcast on Toonami, often being Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, and was the highest rated program of all of Cartoon Network at the time. In late 2001, Bandai acquired the rights to distribute an English dub version of G Gundam with voice casting recorded by Ocean Productions. The English language version of G Gundam premiered as a free screening at the Sony Metreon Action Theater in San Francisco on March 30th, 2002. G Gundam began airing on Toonami on August 5th, 2002. Due to the channel's censorship policies, some edits were made for the broadcast, mainly involving altering the names of several mobile fighters, such as changing God Gundam and Devil Gundam to Burning Gundam and Dark Gundam. Kids in America, whatever. What are you gonna do? But the show also aired on the channel's midnight run as part of its Saturday program in November 2002. Cartoon Network officially dropped G Gundam from its afternoon schedule the following June. Oh, I almost forgot to bring up, bro, the theme song for this. The intro for G Gundam goes so hard, bro. It goes so hard. And then there's also this announcer dude, bro. Yo, honestly, the swagger they put into the little details of the series, unmatched. So, now I've introduced you to G Gundam, let's get into the plot. In the future century, humans have ruined the Earth. Kinda like real life. But anyway, much of mankind has abandoned Earth for space colonies, with each country on Earth having a corresponding space colony, which I found to be a much more simpler concept than Gundam Wing, but this is a much simpler show. Instead of having wars, a Gundam fight, aka the Olympics, is held every 4 years, where a representative will pilot a mobile fighter and compete with other Gundams until only one is left, the ultimate tournament arc. The winning country is allowed to rule the Earth for 4 years until the next Gundam fight. A scientist, Dr. Raizo Kashu, builds the experimental Ultimate Gundam, whose purpose is to restore the Earth to its green glory. However, it is stolen by his son, Kyoji Kashu, who escapes to Earth. As the 13th Gundam fight begins, his brother Domon Kashu is forced to become Neo Japan's Gundam fighter to free his father, who was arrested and sentenced to cryogenic sleep following these events. He must also defeat his brother Kyoji and destroy the Ultimate Gundam, which has since evolved into the ominous Devil Gundam. So that's the plot. It's pretty simple. Now let's get into the characters. G Gundam has a lot of characters in play with very unique personalities and really a plethora of creative Gundam designs, but I have to add the heavy amount of dated racial stereotypes that would not be able to be released today, I think. So let's start with our main character from Neo Japan, Domon Kashu. Domon is the pilot of the Shining and Burning Gundam, which these are awesome Gundam designs, and the finishing move that is absolutely a beast. Shining Finger, Burning Finger, Seki Haken Tyoken. I don't even know if I said that right, but those moves slap. Domon is a very likable main character, very good-natured and kind-hearted. However, Domon is brash, impulsive, emotional, and mad impatient. Domon is one of those characters who wears his heart on his sleeve and sometimes lets his emotions overcome his better judgment. But that was usually balanced off by his partner Rain, who's more level-headed with her personality. Domon is highly determined to free his father from his frozen imprisonment and find out why Kyoji, his brother, has stolen the Devil Gundam and get revenge. But despite the obsession with his mission, he possesses a strong sense of justice and will usually set aside his own mission when the weak and powerless require his protection. Because of this, his mentor, Master Asia, has called him a fool who loses sight of what is necessary at the most important time, and a fool who is slow to make decisions. He spent 10 years mastering the School of the Undefeated East and was later passed down the title of the King of Hearts. Next, we have Rain Mikamura. Rain is a compassionate and empathetic person, and she never turns her back on those in need and always helps others, and she's both kind and clever, but she is also not a damsel in distress type. She became Domon's closest ally and supporter, and eventual lover. She's a brilliant mechanic and doctor. Although initially studying to become a doctor due to her father's orders, Rain returned to Neo Japan, joining Domon Kashu as a mechanic of his Shining Gundam. Next, let's get into Kyoji Kashu, the older brother of Domon Kashu and son of Raizo Kashu and Mikunu Kashu. Basically, same thing applies for Domon here. Kyoji is a kind and gentle person who loves his younger brother. He taught young Domon to have faith in others. Kyoji was one of the scientists who worked on the Ultimate Gundam along with his father. Taking the Ultimate Gundam, Kyoji escaped from the colony of Neo Japan and traveled to Earth. The damage that was taken by the Ultimate Gundam and its artificial intelligence caused it to become the Devil Gundam and Kyoji its pilot. So, those are the characters that are most closest to Domon. Let's get into some of our other pilots in this series, starting with Chibity Crockett, bruh. He is Neo America's most famous boxer, and as well, the Queen of Spades of the current Shuffle Alliance, and I'll get into the Shuffle Alliance more later. Chibity is the pilot of the Gundam Maxer, which is dope because it takes his shoulder armors off and puts it on his fists to be used as boxing gloves for powerful strikes. He is our typical representation of an American in Japanese media, very jolly and all about America and expresses his emotions a lot. He also tends to call every character by their English-speaking names, like, "Hey, Japanese!" Don't know why he does that, but he does that. When Chibity was young, his mother managed to save enough money to live in the Neo-America space colony. As they and other colonists were gathering to depart, a group of hijackers dressed as clowns arrived, wanting to take the ship. For some reason, Gundam Wing and G Gundam has a thing with clowns. Chibity was taken hostage by them, and his mother was killed in the incident. He was left to fend for himself in the streets of New York, and gained a fear of clowns as well, which, honestly, that's like any of us, and it lasts until his adulthood. So, after a rough childhood, Chibity was scouted as a boxer. His skill eventually won him the right to travel to the space colony and eventually became their Gundam fighter. Along the way, Chibity met a group of 4 young women trying to get to the colony by stowing away on a transport. Seeing a spirit similar to his own, Chibity decided to hire them as his Gundam crew, aka Chibity get the hose. Next up, we have Argo Golski, the pilot of the Bolt Gundam and current Black Joker of the Shuffle Alliance. The Bolt Gundam is crazy since Argo is a prisoner and walks around with shackles on his arm due to his dominatrix parole officer, Natasha Zibigov or whatever. The Gundam has a ball and chain as a weapon and then uses it to devastate people with its attack power. Argo was a space pirate of Neo-Russian origin. Him and his crew conducted various tests before being captured by the Neo-Russian military. In one incident, Argo's ship was attempting to escape law enforcement officers when it accidentally crashed into a small space station. Due to Argo's large size and strength, special measures were taken to keep him under control. In order to keep Argo loyal, Neo Russia installed a small bomb on his chest and kept his crew captive in a secret location. As long as he does his bidding, he can get to them one day. Next up, we got George Desan, who is kind of my least favorite pilot out of all of these guys. He is the pilot of the Rose Gundam, which is also a dope design and reminds me of how the gun format is used in Witch from Mercury with its Rose Bits attack, and he walks around with a rapier sword, so that's kind of dope. And he's also the current Jack of Diamonds in the Shuffle Alliance. George is a French noble from Neo-France who have been born into the Desan family, nobility who are loyal to the Neo-France government. He sometimes speaks and acts in a condescending manner, but he has no malice towards anybody. He was trained in the art of fencing by his butler, Raymond Bishop, who was taking care of him ever since he was a baby. George's goal in the 13 Gundam fight is to bring honor to his home nation. He's also all about popping bottles and always keeps a bottle of champagne in the cockpit of his Gundam. And the last of the pilots that might be actually one of my favorites is Sai Saichi, the pilot of the Dragon Gundam that represents Neo China, which, come on, it has dragon mouths, arms, breathes fire, and uses this flag technique to fight with and create illusions. The Gundams in G Gundam legit go all out with creativity. He is also the ace of clubs in the current Shuffle Alliance. Sai Saichi has a cheerful personality, but he is a bit of a goofball and a bit of a leecher. He can also be seen enjoying his hobby of Chinese cooking. Sai Saichi is the grandson of Sai Fei Long, the champion of the 4th Gundam Fight Tournament. His father, Sai Lan Bei, wished to revive the Shaolin Temple, forcing him to leave Sai when he was very young. At first, Sai Saichi was not serious about rebuilding the Shaolin Temple, but after reading a letter left by his father, he changed his mind and became passionate enough to risk his life to achieve the goal. He has been seen as lacking in training and inexperienced in many areas, but has continued to grow in the series as the youngest of our main characters. Next up, we have Schwartz Bruder, aka Racer X. He's affiliated with Neo Germany. He's a man with an excellent eye for observation and intelligence who occasionally appears in front of Domo to point out his problems and give him some advice. He really is mostly an enigma, but shows up mostly to guide Domo and the rest of our main characters through the plot and honing their skills. Next, we have Master Asia, first the pilot of the Hao and Kowloon Gundam of Neo Hong Kong, but later in the series becomes the pilot of the Master Gundam, which is absolute flames, bro. Basically can do everything Domo can and more. Master Asia was Domo's teacher and the former King of Hearts in the Shuffle Alliance. In the later half of the series, Master Asia was more commonly referred by his other alias, Undefeated of the East. He has a very stoic and strict personality, but also can be compassionate. Although his words are harsh, he is kind to his beloved Princess Domo, who he fights many times even after they become enemies. His personality and skills have earned him the respect of many people in the series. And I know I keep bringing up the Shuffle Alliance, so let me explain to you what that is. The Shuffle Alliance is a faction that appears in Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Members are identified by a shuffle crust on their hands, which, prior to our current main members, were Master Asia, the King of Hearts, Max Burns, Queen of Spades, Alan Lee, Club Ace, Tris Sigarev, I don't know if I even said that right, the Black Joker, and Nasius Kircher, Jack of Diamonds. Through the past 4,000 years of history, the mysterious secret organization known as the Shuffle Alliance watched over humanity from the shadows, intervening to steer the world away from destruction and enforce the codes of conduct that govern warfare. They're basically the Illuminati. There we go. So, now that I've introduced our cast of characters, our merry band of pilots, let's get into my thoughts on G Gundam. So G Gundam really does open pretty chill. The series starts with us being introduced to Domon and Rain and really figuring out his ideals and who he is and how much of a beast he is with his Gundam, all while showing the terrible condition that the Earth has been left in since it's basically used as a battlefield at this point. The Gundam fight basically has qualifying rounds or fights that while on Earth, if you are defeated by another representative, then you are ineligible to fight in the main tournament. The following are the 7 articles of the Gundam Fight International Regulations, which honestly I feel like this bends a lot because a lot of things be happening in this series. Rule number 1, a unit whose head section has been destroyed is disqualified. Rule number 2, a Gundam fighter must never aim at the cockpit of an opponent's Gundam. Supplement, accidental harm inflicted on the Gundam fighter during a match is acceptable. Number 3, a Gundam fighter may repair any damage to their Gundam as often as they desire and move on to the championship league, as long as their head section has not been destroyed. Number 4, a Gundam fighter must take full responsibility for protecting their own Gundam. Number 5, a match shall only be held on a one-on-one basis. Number 6, a Gundam fighter shall not taint the honor and dignity of the nation they are representing. Number 7, the Earth is the ring. Supplement, destruction of property on Earth due to the Gundam fight is not considered a crime, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. That's nuts, bro. It really is just a battlefield. And then we have the final tournament additional rules, which upon the start of the finals of the 13 Gundam fight, Wang Yu fought debuted some controversy to it. Rule number 1. Unlimited repairs, improvements, and substitutions are acceptable during the final tournament. Rule number 2. Victory may be obtained through any means, including targeting the cockpit. And rule number 3. The final winner of the Battle Royale will be awarded the title Gundam of Gundams. Kind of dope as a title if you ask me, but there we go. So Domon, while being the representative, basically travels the Earth with a picture of his brother, asking every person he fights if they've seen this man or if they know him. And most people don't know anything because, I mean, think about it. The Earth is mad big, bro. And you asking people all over the world, like, you seen this dude? Like, come on, bro. Throughout his journey, in the beginning of the story, he does run into other main characters in the story for different plot purposes, which, honestly, they waste no time getting the ball rolling after episode 2. Now, normally I've gone beat by beat through the series and kind of explained the whole plot of everything, kind of somewhat episodic, but I'm not going to do that here. But for the first couple episodes, Domon kind of just travels the Earth, and he gets introduced to our other members of our main cast, all the other pilots who are part of the Shuffle Alliance, and he ends up having fights with them and finding a way to like build a bond with them each time he meets them, and just so on and so forth, until eventually he gets some more clues as to where his brother is. So, a couple of episodes pass and we head to Shinjuku and get introduced to Master Asia, and him and Domon are just giddy mastering people to see each other and recite their Undefeated of the East poem. Turns out the Dark Gundam is making an army called the Death Army that's been spreading, and he wants Domon's help to take them out. But, while doing so and trying to get to the source at Tokyo Tower, they split up, but Domon on his way runs into each of our 4 other main characters who seem oddly sus, and also, Master Asia's kinda sus too. We get to Tokyo Tower to find out that our guys have been brainwashed and taken over by Kyoji, and Domon starts getting jumped, and the Master Gundam appears out of nowhere, and Domon tries to shine a finger it, and he uses Darkness Finger, leaving Domon helpless. But Rain pulls through and helps him use the attack again, and drives them all off, and they fly away, leaving him there beaten. And Master Asia shows up out of nowhere when Domon awakens and says to him like, "Oh, well, I guess this will be harder than expected." Eventually, Rain does some investigating on her own and comes across the bodies of allies that we've met along the way, and they're being held in these tubes and being infected with Devil Gundam cells, or aka DG cells. She frees them, and they let her know that they were all tricked by Master Asia, and he's been on the side of the Devil Gundam this whole time. Gasp! Who would have thought? Meanwhile, Domon is chilling with Master Asia without any clue, and they get attacked by the other 4 pilots, and Domon is pleading for them to come to their senses, and Master Asia then pushes Domon, and while in his Kowloon Gundam, it exploded, revealing the Master Gundam, and Domon cannot believe his eyes. He is like, "Nani?" As Domon is about to get washed up by Master Asia, the OG Shuffle Alliance appears in their Gundams, which are all shaped like their crests, which honestly is not the best design, but that's neither here nor there. Master Asia gets away again with the other 4 pilots and tells Domon to come meet him alone at Tokyo Tower. As Domon goes, he does get ambushed by the other pilots, but they all get handled in classic shonen fashion. They get the whole, "Don't worry, I got this, go on ahead," by the current Shuffle Alliance members, who eventually all sacrifice themselves, realizing our squad is to be the successors and cleanses them of DG cells with, I don't know, magic or something? I can't tell in this series. Master Asia don't give a damn though, because he makes fun of their sacrifice, which enrages Domon to activate his super mode. And he blasts Master Asia away. But he's not defeated, obviously. So, our new Shuffle Alliance is then trapped underground with their crews due to an earthquake, and Rain stumbles across the Devil Gundam, absorbing mobile suits from the Death Army because the Devil Gundam is like organic in some way? I don't really know. She is attacked by one of the suits, but is saved by Racer X, Schwarzbruder. Master Asia then finds Rain and attacks her, and Domon saves her, but lets Domon know that it's too late and the Devil Gundam is revived, and then washes up everyone in the Shuffle Alliance. Domon, too, was about to get washed up, but then he gets saved by Schwarzbruder. Domon gets an opening to attack and destroy the Devil Gundam, but can't bring himself to attack the cockpit, still thinking of his brother. So, he attacks the base and gets all the Shining Finger energy absorbed, fully reviving the Devil Gundam and letting Master Asia get away. Again! Honestly, bro, Master Asia just keeps getting away. I don't even know how he pulls it off. So, Master Asia's always running away, and at this point, it's just Master Asia playing with Domon emotions, and Schwarzbruder is trying to train and teach Domon how to use and control his super mode without anger. And we get a little mini training arc of Domon finding himself and testing his abilities against everyone in the Shuffle Alliance to prepare for the fight against Master Asia and the Devil Gundam. So, as the finals approach, Domon is with Schwartz training, and then the Death Army approaches, and Domon tries to call his Gundam, but it's too far. So the ride or die Rain decides to pilot it herself and go to Domon. But she gets tricked by Master Asia on the way there, but Domon and Schwartz are able to save her and board the Gundam, challenging Master Asia to a 2-on-1. We are all about jumping people in this series. I don't care. It is what it is. Hands on hands on hands. The other members of the Chef Alliance all escape the Guyana Highlands. Domon stays back to defeat Master Asia and the Devil Gundam. Meanwhile, in the Neo-Japan Space Colony, Major Ulube and Dr. Mikamura decide to send the God Gundam down to the Guyana Highlands as the Shining Gundam doesn't have enough power to defeat the Devil Gundam. Back in the Guyana Highlands, Domon is getting thrashed, getting washed up by Master Asia, who is bent on forcing Domon to engage in super mode. The attempts at angering Domon are working, and he is slowly losing control until Schwartzbruder shows up and tries to calm down Domon. Schwartz leaves, hoping Domon will calm down if he fights alone, but Domon anger gets the best of him and he goes on a rampage. Master Asia is easily able to fend off Domon's wild attacks, but Schwartz comes back to Domon's aid. Master Asia destroys Schwartz's cockpit, seriously injuring Schwartz in the process. This calms Domon down, and Schwartz reminds Domon of his training in the cave. Realizing what his training was for, he achieves a serene state of mind, unlocking the true super mode. He easily defeats Master Asia and attacks the Devil Gundam with his shining finger, seemingly destroying it. Schwartz's mask then falls off as he stops Master Asia from reaching Domon. So, all 4 members of the Chef Alliance reach Neo Hong Kong for the finals. However, Domon is still not there. Still trapped in the Guyana Highlands, he spots a Neo-Japan capsule containing the God Gundam. Attacked by the Master Gundam, he sacrificed the Shining Gundam to reach the capsule. Which, honestly, the send-off of the Shining Gundam was done pretty well. However, the combat data from the Shining Gundam is required for it to move. Using some experimental device, Rain is able to take control of the Shining Gundam and transfer the data manually. So, on his way to Neo Hong Kong, he is attacked by 4 unidentified mobile fighters, and this slows him down, with Domon barely making it in time. So at this point, we enter our tournament arc, which is pretty good, but I'm not going to go through each matchup that happens, but Domon ends up winning all his matches, fighting a ton of cool themed Gundams, and our other members of the Shuffle Alliance all go through tons of character development and moments throughout this tournament. Master Asia is at the side of his boy, Sus Boy Wong, so they make sure each match Domon has is extremely difficult. However, during the tournament, Wong is plotting to revive the Devil Gundam and realizes that a female pilot is needed in order to bring out its full potential. So, he kidnaps this girl named Allenby, who has like this Sailor Moon type Gundam, and is really strong, and it also has a Berserker mode. Like, bro, they have all the things in this series, bro. Like, all the shonen things are in this Gundam series. So at this point, Domon ends up blacking on Rain, which is not cool, bro. Rain is your ride or die. This was not cool. But he blacks on her because she was supposed to protect Allenby. But Rain gets salty because she's a little jealous of how much he cares about Allenby, which she should, bro. Come on, man. So, out of nowhere, Funsaki, Master Asia Horse, comes and delivers Domon to Master Asia. Wong hears of this and releases a Gundam head to kill Domon and Master Asia. The 2 fighters get stuck below ground, as always, and call a temporary truce until they find their way to the surface. Master Asia then teaches Domon the Seki Haten Kyoken, a new move which is basically a Kamehameha or a Hadouken. And when they reach the surface, Domon disposes of the Gundam heads with ease. Meanwhile, back with the Neo Japan crew, it is discovered that Rain resigned as a member of the Gundam team because Domon was mean to her. After this, Domon is then set to fight against Schwartz in the next match by Wong, who also rigged the arena with 5,000 bombs. This dude is nuts, bro. He's nuts. And he finds out that Rain also joined up with Schwartz after quitting. Because, like, she also wears this mask that looks like Schwartzbruder's mask, but it's painfully obvious that it's her, but whatever. The match starts and Domon gets pummeled by Schwartz. After a while, Schwartz decides to end the fight because Domon repeatedly profuses that he needs nobody but himself. But Domon finally learns that he needs his friend, and above all, he needs Rain to win. Schwartz attacks, and Domon uses the Seki Haten Kyoken to defeat him. The ring explodes, and Domon is victorious. At the end, the paramedics have to take off Schwartz's mask, and it's found out that Schwartz is really Kyoji Kashu! Woo! Plot twist. We found out that Schwartz is actually an android made up of DG cells, so not really Kyoji. But after this, we found that Rain's dad also ain't shit. At the hospital, it's revealed that the Devil Gundam was intended to restore the Earth. This whole time, Dr. Kashu's plan was not meant to really create no menace. he was trying to bring back the beauty of Earth. However, Dr. Mikamura, aka Rain's dad, became jealous of Dr. Kashu's work and betrayed him and his family to Alube to get his power. When Alube arrived to take the Gundam and use it for the military, Kyoji's mother died trying to protect her son, and then Kyoji took the Gundam, went to Earth where his programming was damaged, and then it captured Kyoji. However, he managed to make an android of himself to guide his younger brother Domo. Alube used Domo and Rain to find the Devil Gundam. From this point, we enter the final parts of this tournament. A full-on Gundam Battle Royale fight on an island, which I'm not gonna lie, it's fire because all types of foul play and jumping is going on at this point. There is no fair ones. Master Asia has 4 goons, the Heavenly Kings, which are the same Gundams that tried to stop Domo on his way to Neo Hong Kong, and they were held off, eventually by each of the Shuffle Alliance because Shonen, go on ahead, I got this. So after Chibity and George have defeated the Grand Gundam, Allenby appears and seems to be under the influence of the DG cells, and Domo tries to reason with her. Then, the Rising Gundam, piloted by Rain, attacks the Noble Gundam. Rain manages to save Allenby by destroying the Walter Gundam. I'm just naming Gundams at this point because there's just so many of them. Schwartz and Kyoji sacrifice themselves so Domo can destroy the Devil Gundam's cockpit, defeating it. So, there we go. It's also revealed that Wong was using Master Asia to get control of the Devil Gundam. It's like people were being manipulated all over the place. Plot twists all over the place. Can feel a little ass pulley, but it's still interesting. So the final fight begins. Domo versus Master Asia. No more running away. It is going down, and it was actually really, really fire. During the fight, Domo does convince Master Asia that his plans would have failed anyway with good old talk no jutsu. After defeating Master Asia, Domo shares one last touching moment with him as they recite their poem, the undefeated of the East thingy, and Master Asia dies in his arms, I just died in your arms tonight. Anyway, Domo burns the Master Gundam in Master Asia's body, proclaiming it to be the last time he will shed tears for Master Asia, because honestly, Master Asia been doing him dirty the whole series. Meanwhile, Dr. Mikamura has cured Allenby of the Devil Gundam cells, and he and Rain are collected by the Neo Japan military. So Domo ends up winning the tournament and gets everyone to pass for the shenanigans, but Rain feels absolutely horrible for what her dad did. And it's pretty heartbreaking. We found out the Devil Gundam needs a core life unit that can reduce life to function its full potential, which technically it needs a female pilot since, females in the series, they give birth. There we go. Alube, who is Japan's military leader, plans to use Rain for the core life unit and shoots Dr. Mikamura, who has tried to protest him, and offers Rain to the Devil Gundam as the core life unit. Domo looks for Rain in the hospital and instead finds Allenby, who tells him that Rain feels that she must make up for her father's sins and therefore left for Neo Japan without him. After Dr. Mikamura desperately radios Domo for help, Domo attempts to go into space, but he is stopped by Wong and the Walter Gundam, who informs him the Devil Gundam is reactivated. However, Master Asia Funsaki appears out of nowhere, not Master Asia, but the horse, and it helps defeat the Walter Gundam, and Domo arrives in space. So not gonna lie to you, this Alube dude been off the radar for so long, by the time he showed up, I was just like, who is this guy again? Like, where did he come from? So, Alube now has a Devil Gundam at its full power and puts Neo Japan at level 1 wartime status. But, though diabolical, he does not risk innocent lives, ordering an evacuation of Neo Japan space colony, then kills the soldiers under his command. With Neo Japan now the rulers of the universe, Alube intends to abolish the Gundam fight, unknowingly sending the Earth back into war times. Basically, he tried to pull a, well, now that we run it now, no more elections, no more Olympics, we're the rulers forever. So, the Shuffle Alliance and all the space colonies basically unite together to stop this threat and save Rain, going all up inside the Devil Gundam in space and tearing it into pieces. Alube meanwhile decides to get back into the Gundam fight and pilots the Grand Master Gundam, which consists of the Master Gundam and the other members of the 4 Heavenly Kings combined, creating the colony's power source. So the Shuffle Alliance do a father, son, son, and son, and son Kamehameha against it and win. So amidst all this chaos, Domo's dad eventually is taken out of cryogenic stasis and tells Domo the only way to stop the Devil Gundam is to destroy the core unit, which basically means he has to destroy Rain. So, kind of a pickle here. So Domo refuses and says, I'm gonna go on my own and get her. But thanks to the Devil Gundam's self-recovery, the Grandmaster Gundam is resurrected and the Shuffle Alliance struggle to defeat it. The Devil Gundam colony begins extending towards Earth, taking over most of it. Almost taking complete control, it is defeated when Domo finally admits his love to Rain, and it gets to her with the power of anime. You know, she can hear everything, she's kind of in this frozen kind of silver metallic stasis, but him admitting that he loves Rain frees her from the shackles of the Devil Gundam. This allows Rain to break free of the Devil Gundam's control, and together they perform the erupting god finger Seki Ha Love Tenchi Oken technique, destroying the Devil Gundam for good, and we live happily ever after the end. Honestly, that Love Tenkyoken was absolutely fire. I used to love that move in the PS1 game that I used to play. Oh man, what a great finale, bro. The finale of this series really just goes, it just keeps escalating. It just keeps escalating. It gets crazier and crazier and crazier, and it doesn't disappoint. So now that I've gone through the plot of the story and kind of gave you my thoughts on it as we went, let's get into my conclusion on it. Overall, do I think that G Gundam is actually good, or is it just nostalgia clouding our judgment? Like I said before, I think G Gundam is just good fun and actually has such a simple plot and storyline to follow. There aren't a bunch of rebelling factions and the big bad government we're worrying about. It really gives traditional basic shonen vibes with good fighting and some cool art and designs, and it's just as JoJo's as Gundam can get. At no point did I ever really feel bored watching it. Sure, could it have been about 10 episodes shorter? 100%. If this was 24 episodes, I think it would be a stronger show. But I also know it isn't what people are looking for in their Gundam. So I can say if you're an avid fan of Gundam and its rich themes and its war plot lines, then this series is not for you. But if you're just looking to have some fun with Gundam, then I overall recommend this series. So if I can give G Gundam a rating out of 10, I would give it an 8. An 8 out of 10. And check it out if you have time. So that's my thoughts on G Gundam. Let me know your thoughts on G Gundam in the comment section below.
It cultivates the mind, the spirit, and the soul, and we must always cultivate the soul.
The control panel's really messed up. Prepare to die! Get out of my way! Are you crazy?
You can do this task.
You weaklings are no match for Roger. See ya!
Morning, top of the 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 morning.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another Nostalgia Side Review. So, if you can't tell by the title, this video we're going to begin to Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi Universe. And whether or not this series was actually dope, or is it just nostalgia, clouding our judgments to live in the past and not realize things for what they really are, unnecessarily increasing the quality of something we grew up on just because of fond memories. I mean, honestly, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, so I took the time to rewatch this series in English dub in its entirety, not including the other Tenchi Muyo OVAs and seasons, for you. Not me, you.
Not me, not Hermione, you.
But before we get into the video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel as well as hit the notification bell to get notified for more content that I put out. As well, if you end up enjoying the video, be sure to hit me with a like and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on this series. So, without any further ado, let's just get into it, y'all.
If she ain't got a butt, fucking get it to her.
Cool, so let's get into a series that may be one of the first harem anime we've ever watched. There's plenty of slice of life anime such as Fruits Basket and Komi-san Can't Communicate, or harem building protagonists in anime such as the one from, Sword Art Online. But Tenchi is an OG in the harem space, and it's not even as harem-y, if that even is a word. As you may remember, Tenchi Universe, known in Japan as Tenchi Muyo, is a 26-episode anime television series directed by Hiroshi Nageshi. It is the second major animated installment in the Tenchi Muyo franchise, succeeding the original Tenchi Muyo, Ryoki, and preceding Tenchi in Tokyo. While its story is loosely based on the first 6 episodes of Tenchi Muyo Ryoki, Tenchi Universe changes the personalities of certain characters. Now I know I just said Tenchi a lot of times, and trust me, there are a lot of different Tenchi series. I really had a hard time tracking down which one I actually watched growing up, and this was definitely one of them, but I do remember watching a different one. But Tenchi Universe is the one we'll be tackling. So Back into more details. Tenchi Universe was originally broadcast on TV Tokyo from April 2nd, 1995 to September 24th, 1995. The English dub version of Tenchi Universe was originally aired on the San Jose, California PBS superstation KTEH in late 1997 in its originally uncensored form as part of its Sunday late prime, which is, 9 p.m. to after 12 a.m. sci-fi programming block. In 2000, it was picked up by Cartoon Network for broadcast on its US and European Toonami block. The Toonami version was edited for content and featured custom opening and closing credits. Its first airing ran the day after the conclusion of Tenchi Muyo Rooki OVAs 1 and 2 from July 20th to August 24th, 2000. Tenchi in Tokyo began airing the next day. The fifth and final Toonami broadcast of Tenchi Universe ran from January 17th to February 21st, 2002. After Cartoon Network's rights to broadcast the show expired, the international channel picked up the rights to air the dubbed version in 2004. Both the Japanese and English versions of the Tenchi Muyo opening was performed by Sonya, and the ending, called Ginga de Chokiritsu Hoko, which means walking tall in the Milky Way or up walking the galaxy, Japanese version was performed by Ai Orikasa and Yumi Takada. English version performed by Diane Michelle. To be honest, the opening song is really, really, really good. It really gives that feel of the 90s. But that ending song, bro, that is a strong confidence that the singer has in some of the lyrics. And I'll slowly say some of the lyrics to you. When you go fishing, you catch a boot or some other trash. When you play at cards, you lose all your cash. You're so pathetic, you never win, and you never will. Not the kind of girl who'd make any guy feel a thrill. Bro, what? It gets even spicier, bro. I'm sorry, you'll never be a goddess like me. Step aside, this is how it's gonna be. I'll get the guy. Yes, I'm the one who'll always win the day. I'm strong and I am beautiful. What more can I say?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Bruh, the confidence that's in this ending song, I had to break it down that way. Because when you hear it, it sounds pretty. But it's pretty savage when you get down to it. But that's enough about the intro into the series and, the intro and the ending song. Let's get more into the plot of Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi Universe. So, here's the plot of Tenchi Muyo Tenchi Universe. Our hero, Tenchi Masaki, is a luckless hero who happens to attract many of intergalactic hijinks in Tenchi Universe, which is an alternate universe retelling of the original Tenchi canon. 17-year-old Tenchi Masaki is a regular guy whose life takes a turn for the bizarre when Ryoko, the baddie of a space pirate, crashes at his grandfather's shrine. From there, before he knew it, Tenchi finds himself surrounded by a cornucopia of chaotic, intergalactic, charming baddies who will do everything they can to make his life just a tad bit interesting. This story gives slice of life vibes, showing all the hijinks our characters deal with on a typical day-to-day being with each other, while having this space adventure and space politics main plot that feels like a subplot driving the story forward. Our cast is driven by trying to find a way to clear the names of our princesses of the Jirai royal family, Ayeka and Sasami, from being framed and shunned by their family, all while they are being framed and hunted down by the galactic police. So, let's get into some of the characters. Tenchi Universe is no surprise to great characters, and honestly, this misfit bunch that we have thrown together deliver diverse personality types, as well as great depictions of strong female characters you don't see too often in fiction. Tenchi Masaki in Tenchi Universe, Tenchi is similar in personality to the Tenchi Muyo incarnation, but has no powers beyond the ability to use Tenchi-ken, which is, the magic system, power system of this world. Tenchi does attend school, but it is a long commute for him because he lives at his family's shrine in the mountains. He is pretty agreeable, noble, and straight-laced high school student who always wants to do the right thing and doesn't really seem to take much interest in women currently, but always finds himself in a precarious situation, feeling flustered by the attention he gets. Now, let's get into Ryoko. Ryoko. Man, Ryoko is a space pirate. She was introduced to Tenchi by crash landing on Earth during a dogfight with Mahoshi. Tenchi found her, and it was almost love at first sight, at least for her. We have no idea what her origins are, and that is never revealed. Ryoko can summon an energy sword and shoot ki blasts, and she can also fly, teleport, and make copies of herself. Ryoko is generally less powerful than in Tenchi Muyo. She's very emotional and brash, but not as much as in Tenchi Muyo. And she enjoys doing things to make Ayeka mad. which includes flirting with Tenchi. Ryoko also has Ryoki, her pet cabbit, which is like this cat, rabbit, animal thing, whatever, which can transform into a well-armed spaceship. She also has an arch rival, Nagi, who also has her own cabbit, a male named Kenoki, and the two rabbits, they got like a crush on each other, so they be flirting and shit. This is interesting. I hope you're not a furry, because next up, we have Ayeka Masaki Jirai. Ayeka is a princess in the Jirai royal family. She is normally shy and demure, but also seems to fall in love with Tenchi on the very first day she meets him. Ayeka was drawn to Earth by Mihoshi's distress signal, but once again, she finds Ryoko there as well, and a massive fight eventually occurs. In this series, the rivalry with Ryoko started back during their childhood, which is shown through a series of flashbacks, which both Ayeka and Ryoko are blaming each other for both of their problems, which is honestly a great gag that happens the whole way through. Though normally she's well-mannered, but a little stuck up and pretentious, Ryoko usually brings out the obnoxious and petty side of Ayeka. Ayeka has a ship called Ryo, which crash lands on Earth. However, it becomes incapable of flying when it begins to regenerate, taking root to the wreckage of her old ship. Honestly, there's a lot of OOOs and OOKs in this, so, you might hear me stumbling.
True, and yeah, that's pretty true.
Next up, we have Sasami Masaki Jirai. Sasami is Ayeka's little sister and a princess of Jirai, but there is no mention of her parents. Sasami is an accomplished cook. She's a very happy character and has an innocent outlook on life and does not use any special powers. She did have her own ship, but it was soon destroyed, stranding her on Earth. She is an expert games player, especially really good at fighting video games. So if you want to, see her in Street Fighter, check her out. She might smack. Next up, we have one of my faves, Mihoshi Kuromitsu. In this series, Mihoshi is partnered with Kiyone Makabe and is a part of Galaxy Police. She is in pursuit of Ryoko until they both crash land on Earth. Mihoshi is the comic relief and a dumb and ditzy character whose constant blunders would often cause trouble for the group, especially for Kiyone. Mihoshi is a very endearing and sweet character, but her troubles that she causes the group are on an elite level. I shit you not. The things that she causes to basically make life worse for the group is hilarious sometimes, bro. Next up, we have Washu Hakubi. Washu is what some would call a mad scientist, maybe? She was banished from the Universal Science Academy for producing weapons of mass destruction and was sent to Earth, imprisoned in the Masaki Shrine for 700 years, until she was freed during a squabble involving, Ryoko and Ayeka. Washu is an egotistical mad scientist with two dolls named A and B that pop on her shoulders, to proclaim her greatness and to cheer her on. They'd be like, Washu, you're a genius, and you can do it, Washu, etc., etc., etc. Next up, we have Kiyone Makabe, a first-class Galaxy Police detective who graduated with the second highest marks in her year. And because of her athletic and analytical skill, commitment to police work, and responsible nature, she was deemed the cream of the Galaxy Police crop and among the best of the younger generation of Galaxy Police. Stuck with the unpredictable force that is Mihoshi Kuromitsu as her partner, Kiyone's career suffers a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean she be suffering, bro. And with that, she has become somewhat bitter and depressed with her misfortune, hoping that she can earn a promotion and transfer away from Mihoshi, which would ensure a much better prospect for her future. But despite the trouble Mihoshi has brought her, Kiyone holds some, hidden fondness for her partner. So I just rounded out all the women, but let's not forget about Tenchi's dad and his grandfather. First up, we have Katsuhito Masaki, who is Tenchi's grandfather and is later revealed to be, spoiler alert for something that came out a long time ago, Yosho, and is a part of Jiraiya's royal family, along with being the greatest swordsman who has ever lived. While Ayeka and Sasami are from a distant branch of the imperial family, Yosho is a lineal descendant of the main line and is the rightful heir to the throne of Jirai. This also makes Tenchi the direct heir to the throne. Eventually, he decided to leave Jirai and pursue his own interests after a battle with once close friend and rival Kagato. Upon arriving on Earth, Yosho met the Masaki family, who guarded the shrine, which coincidentally housed the great scientist Washu, and trained in order to take over as its guardian and Shinto priest. He took the name Katsuhito Masaki and fell in love with a member of the family named Isuki, who would bear his daughter Achika Masaki, the mother of Tenchi. Katsuhito gives off usual wise grandfather and anime vibes that usually has a lot of pep to his step vibes also, and is always aware of what is going on, which makes sense since he wasn't even freaked out about all the women staying in his home and seemed not shocked that they came from outer space. And lastly, we have Tenchi's father, Nobuyuki Masaki, who is also Katsuhito's son-in-law, though he prefers to address Katsuhito as father since he married into the Masaki family. Nobuyuki's personality is very all about work since he's an architect, but is also very flirtatious and all about about women at the same time, and gets excited for Tenchi at every turn there's a woman involved with him. Nobuyuki and Tenchi have always lived with Kazuhito. Nobuyuki constantly complains about the long commute and how he can't catch a break from work with so many development projects. So now that I've given you plot of Tenchi Universe, as well as gave you a list of the characters, now let me get into my thoughts on Tenchi Universe. First off, let me start by saying, why are there so many damn Tenchis? Like I said before, picking the right one for this video had me feeling dumb. So I was struggling to find the right one. I don't know why I remember back in the day, it was like Tenchi Muyo I saw first, or remember, then Tenchi Universe was like a sequel or something. But then I went back and I'm like, did Toonami air the OVAs as Tenchi Muyo, then gave us Tenchi Universe? For the sake of this video and my time, I went with Tenchi Universe instead, since I skimmed through the OVAs and don't remember that animation as a kid, and Universe looked more familiar to what I remember. So apologies if it was the OVAs that aired first, but hey, my video, my rules.
Sensational.
The series opens with episode 1, No Need for Discussions. Tenchi finds Ryoko in the woods, and she finesses him, saying she's being chased by a space pirate in a mech suit. Definitely turned the damsel in distress trope on its head, with her landing in a foreign place, running for pursuers. During the pursuit that Tenchi tries to help Ryoko get away from, the robot suit then falls flat on his face, and Ryoko kicks it off the cliff effortlessly. After that, Ryoko and Tenchi run to Tenchi's grandfather and father, and Tenchi is shown to be the sensible one and not fully trusting what just occurred, but his father and grandfather are ridiculous and just see a beautiful lady. You can smell the finesse in Ryoko from a mile away. She even at one point says, "I thank you, honorable father," and bruh, does Ryoko got me weak early on. Like, she is hilarious from jump. And even in the episode, you see her playing video games in Tenchi's house, and she gets welcomed into super easy. And what's even funnier is, the game she's playing gives you a big hint of her biggest rival in the first episode. With all this going on in the first episode, Tenchi wants no parts of her lust. He's a better man than me, honestly. Cause, Ryoko. Nice! Call me. The robot then shows up to the house and Grandpa one-hit kills it. Whole time watching that first, you're like, what is this old man's deal? But the robot mech suit opens up and it turns out to be another new character to add to the carnival, Mihoshi. Love me some Mihoshi, like I said. I know she's dumb, but she's endearing. Mihoshi ends up being stranded as well with Ryoko at Tenchi's house. But during the first episode, Ryoko gives a hint to how much power she has and decides to stay with Tenchi and whispers sexually in his ear that she's here for a good time, not a long time. She didn't actually say that, but honestly, she might as well have.
I'ma be nice. I'm trying to get like you, my boy.
And Tenchi father's a thirst bucket and hype that it's just women staying in their crib now. And that's episode 1. And then the next episode we get No Need for a Princess. Which I will say, the naming conventions of all these episodes all start with no need and then whatever they want to put with after. And I think that is super clever. I like it a lot actually. So with the next episode being No Need for a Princess, we get introduced to Princess Ayaka, who's annoying to me from jump, bro. Ayaka's on her way back to Plan Jirai and decides to stop off on Earth in response to a distress call sent by Mihoshi. But as soon as Ayaka Pete Ryoko was just there chilling, it was on sight for her. When she arrived, Mihoshi was begging to be saved, and Ryoko and Ayaka just are hilariously arguing the whole episode and fight because, you know, that's just what they do, especially because they just want Tenchi's attention. By episode 3, Sasami appears, which is fine, but her character barely does much. The real hijink ensues when Ryoko shows up with an egg and fakes being pregnant, basically, and said it's Tenchi's. And Grandpa was like, it looks like you gained some weight, Ryoko, like a savage. Like, bro, Grandpa, you bugged out. And then Tenchi dad is like, I'm thinking you slow on women, but you out here, son. Tenchi's tight, cause like, it's not his child, bro. Like, it's an egg. And Tenchi's like, I never hit that. Come to find out, later on in the episode, it hatches to Ryoko's pet, Ryoki. You know, the rabbit-cat hybrid thing I brought up earlier. But get this, Ryoki transforms into a goddamn ship, son. Like, I get it, it's anime. Anime, sometimes you be bugging. So, I'm not going to continue to give an episode-by-episode breakdown of the series, but I just wanted to give you a feel of some of the nonsense that occurs with these characters in the first 3 episodes, since a lot of people go by the 3-episode rule for anime. Eventually, the rest of the cast is introduced. In episode 4, Washu, our mad scientist, who was originally thought to be a goblin, was sealed in the cave at the Masaki Shrine 700 years ago due to her crazy experiments, and gets freed because Ryoko was trying to make scary movie type jump scares, date vibes with Tenchi. Sorry, I was all over the place with that one, but she did force Tenchi to go into this cave with her. And in episode 5, we find out that Mihoshi was was reported missing by the GXP and presumed dead over a month ago. But then Keone is sent to Earth to follow up on Mahoshi's disappearance with much reluctance to having to be partnered with her dumbass ever again. Keone is horrified to learn that not only is Mahoshi alive and well, but is living quite happily with the wanted criminal Ryoko. Determined that the mission should not be a total waste of time, Keone decides to arrest Ryoko while she has a chance. But with Mahoshi on hand to help, you know, Mihoshi, aka she's gonna fuck this up. And of course with Ayaka wanting to see Ryoko get locked up, she tries to assist, but it all backfires and now Keone is stuck with the crew. Honestly, most of the series, you feel bad for Keone. She is a hard-working, independent, and strong woman who has an idiot partner like Mahoshi that just makes her work life harder and personal life harder in space and on Earth. And as the series continues, I am convinced that Ryoko is from Brooklyn because if you gave her a Nike Tech sweatsuit, you would swear she's a scammer. Honestly, these characters are so well written and have great different personalities, and Tenchi is just the OD straight man, so he's whack. But it's not all fun and games for the first half of the series. There are some more darker and serious episodes like Washu's Horror House at the Carnival, which is kind of funny. But the rest of the episode goes back to being all jokes, so I lied. This series is just all fun and games. Same episode, it gets dark. We then watch Ayaka kick Ryoko, whole booth down, and then say, "How dare you" to her. Like, Ayaka is the one who fucked Ryoko's whole booth at this carnival up, kicked the whole shit down, and then told Ryoko, "How dare you? Bro, you the one who, what?
That's no good.
Son, Ayaka's hating it. Like, she just be, I'm not a fan. I mean, putting aside my hate for Ayaka, the Ryoko and Ayaka beef is hilarious. The extent they go to being petty is crazy. And as noble as Ayaka is, you still can't believe her flashback stories completely over Ryoko's. You have no idea who's telling the truth about who screwed over who first as kids. Now, if you don't really get what I mean about these flashback jokes, let me explain the ongoing flashback joke. These two in every argument always flashback to why they hate each other and blaming the other one as to why they are like this to each other, as if one caused the other trauma as a kid, but they always make themselves look like a saint in the story. But you know you can't trust either one of them, and our main cast doesn't either. Around episode 9, things actually do start to get serious. The episode opens up and it's snowing. We get to see Tenchi and Grandpa staring, and not gonna lie, Tenchi shows that he's fake nice at fighting. But most of the episode really is somber, as it shows to be a reflection episode for Tenchi, his father and grandfather, and they're all seeming to all remember Tenchi's mom because of the snow. But Tenchi is having a hard time remembering, but you realize how strong of a bond these three have formed since her death. But the ending episode hints OD that Tenchi is not from Earth. Also, Ryoko's, nemesis Nagi shows up, and the episode's dope, but the beef is quelled by the cats wanting to make the nasty with each other. Hashtag not a furry.
Oh my god.
But let me emphasize, Nagi is a savage. She even dragged Tenchi into town in a coffin like a gangster. Like that was this is a cartoon. But near the end of this episode, we get this line for Ryoko, which you kind of feel like this will mean something later on. She says, "I've never ever regretted anything I've done in my entire life." And you feel like the gravitas of that statement meaning something more to the series for this character. I will say, I was a little disappointed at this point because we randomly go into this alternate universe storyline for episode 11 and 12, and it's kind of meh. Like, it got my hopes up thinking the story was about to take this dramatic turn, but that's my fault for accepting something the show isn't trying to be right now. But then, boom, we get to episode 14, No Need for Rebellion. And this is where shit finally gets serious. We get a realization that it's been 3 months since the carnival arrived to Tenchi's crib. And by the carnival, we mean, all the girls showed up. And out of nowhere, the whole house just gets snatched up by the Jiraiya's military. Sasami, Ryoko, and Ayaka are kept as prisoners because they have been labeled as traitors to Jiraiya, and the rest of the crew decides to rescue them. Grandpa and Tenchi just begin busy washing guards up on the ship that they go on, and Washu and the dad from a distance are like, "Oh, okay, nice. They got this."
I like it a lot.
They break them out fairly easily, but now they can't go back to Earth since they are on the run from Jiraiya and, the Galaxy Police. While this all went down, Keone and Mihoshi get back to Galaxy Police headquarters, and immediately Keone runs into one girl who is just a pure puta to her, like grade A puta. While Keone is at headquarters, she finds out she's supposed to be getting promoted, but then is told that Yosho took back the throne from Jiraiya from her superior and said Ayaka and Ryoko tried to do a coup for it. And honestly, if you don't know, my favorite word is coup d'etat. I love me a good coup d'etat.
Wait a minute.
Not that I would ever do something like storm the Capitol. Like, I just like the word coup d'etat, but I would never do that. Eventually, we realize that the Galaxy Police is in cahoots with Yosho and Jirai, and they turn on Kiyone and Mihoshi, because they think that, they know where Aika is, and the two of them get away in order to join back with the group. Shockingly, Mihoshi was the MVP here for their escape, so, Mihoshi, you get some love there.
Yes! Yes!
From this point on, we kind of go back into the heavy slice of life comedy type structure, since we are now shown the day-to-day of how our group is living while being on the run flying through space, while also trying to figure out why this is all happening. But they also have to figure out how to make money and get food. They spent it all on a karaoke system for the house, like bozos. Like, these characters do not make good decisions ever. And it's literally hilarious. They really remind me of 30-year-old millennials currently. Just saying. We buy a lot of dumb shit.
That's true. That's pretty true.
You see this statue. This is dumb shit. I didn't need this.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
I'll say one thing. In that club brothel episode, Grandpa really showed that he's some smooth-ass nigga. But, Nagi then shows up looking for info on Ryoko to fight her, and she has no idea that our crew is the one that's working in this bar, because they're in disguise, and she didn't even realize, they just look like themselves. Some bounty hunter Nagi is, but...
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
They all overcharged the hell out of her, and she was so mad. Like, she had no idea that she was going to get overcharged like that. You gotta love these characters. They're petty. They're real. They really feel like real characters. At one point during these episodes, the ship broke down, and they needed gas and food, and they trust Ryoko to come back with food, and she ends up drinking and gambling it all away on this vacation planet instead of making the 7-Eleven run for her starving friends on the ship. That's Ryoko. That's what she does. She lives her best life to the point where she needs to rob the location in order to get back the funds to actually have something to bring back to the squad, in which they are tight the whole time she had them waiting and starving, not knowing what she was really doing the whole time. But they should have never trusted her anyway, because that large amount of money, you trusted Ryoko, and by the time she got back to the squad, they realized that she was being chased by fucking police again. So, regular Ryoko stuff.
Bullshit. No drinks for me, thanks. Bullshit.
I've been doing a lot of praising, but let me say this now. Episode 18, No Need for a Ghost, where Sasami kicks it with the ghost all episode, boring, trash, wasting my time. I don't care how hard this show tries, and I don't think they do try that hard. I do not care about Sasami. Least favorite character. Least useful character. Like, most useless character. Whatever. Useless. I don't even know why she's in this. From what I remember, she's better in the other version of Tenchi, but in Tenchi Universe, don't even know why she's here.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But it redeems it with a good old beach episode. Because anime. We get the whole female cast in bathing suits, even Nagi, who wins the swimsuit competition against all of them. So, that's a thing.
Hey, you coward! Come back!
But now we start to reach the final couple episodes of our adventure. Episode 22, No Need for Nights, and our crew is in Jirian territory, and they are getting chased and go to this planet to get away that only Grandpa knew the directions to, but no one knew how. Eventually, we get the obvious that Grandfather is some type of Jirian manstem. When at the Jirian sacred grounds, he turns Kamadake and Azaka, the two dudes in the floating wood things that I haven't talked about once. I really haven't talked about them once, but they usually use them for the eye catcher. It goes, boop, and then boop, and then Ryoko shows up, but whatever. They're fine. They don't really do much. But he changes the wooden blocks into reincarnated ancient Jirian warriors. And boom, here comes the revelation. Grandpa has been Yosho the whole time. And the person who we thought took over Jiraiya claiming to be Yosho is an imposter. What's funny is how when Tenchi dad was like, yo, why didn't you tell me? And then Grandpa was like, yeah, sure. I'll tell my daughter's Earth husband I'm actually from space. It's valid. It's valid. Sounds like a real reason to not say anything.
Okay.
But this explains why Grandpa is so nice at everything, and Tenchi is basically Ayeka's cousin, which, yeah, incest.
That's no good.
So, this dude that was from the Jiraiya family faked like he was Yosho, who we find out from Grandpa that his real name is Kagato, pulls up on the planet where Kamadake and Azaka was resurrected and washes up Grandpa and Ryoko and takes Ayeka. Like, Kagato just pulls up like, boop, 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 nothing. After that, Tenchi ends up being helped by Washu, as he has to come to terms that he's special, and has to be the one to stop Kageto and save Ayeka. She convinces him that he could wield a greater force of Jirai power than his grandfather, and of course, she ends up helping him with the rescue by disabling the Jirai fleet with a computer virus. Ryoko tries to beg Tenchi to choose to be with her instead of saving Ayeka because she knows he will die if he goes, and Tenchi lets her down kind of gently and kept classy. I gotta respect that. And says he can't forsake Ayeka. Still incest, just saying.
Do it! Just do it!
Ryoko then decides to still help Tenchi, even though she don't fuck with Ayeka. Also, Nagi ends up pulling up and helping Tenchi. Ryoko and the boys go to Jirai to save Ayeka, but Ryoko is still badly injured from that ass whooping from Kageto, and she's hiding it from Tenchi for his sake, and she gets them there on max effort, bro. But she decides to not go into the palace with them and seemingly dies on her shit with Ryoko, giving one of the saddest meows, because that's what Ryoki does. She meows a lot.
So where shall we go next? What do you think, Ryoki?
So when Tenchi and the boys arrive to Jirai to fight, the new guards of Jirai show up to stop them from reaching Kageto, but in usual anime fashion, we get a good old-fashioned, you go on ahead, I'll take care of this, from Kamadake for one guard and Azaka for the other. And Tenchi is sent to go alone to the throne room to shoot the ones. Honestly, a quick note on that fight they had with the guards, it's nice to see moves being used in anime with no names. Like, I can't remember the last time I seen just like hands with no names for attacks being used. Like, the moves are just being done, and there's no special attack name to this technique or nothing. They just OD. And I mean, like, to the point of Azaka put a hole in homie's stomach that he fought straight up, like she. We then get to the final battle, Tenchi versus Kageto, a good old-fashioned lightsaber battle, because, you know, I guess Jirai stood for Jedi, maybe? Also, check out Obi-Wan, pretty dope. I'm joking, but the name of the sword is called the Tenchi sword. Great name, guys. You really were creative with that one. Also, Kageto has a dark saber, which is pretty clean, not gonna lie. He straight up tells Tenchi, so kill me. Like, Tenchi's like, no, you did all this stuff, blah, 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 like, I'm gonna stop you, and Kageto's like, alright, kill me then.
You have nothing to worry about. All you have to do is defeat me, and you can do whatever you want. So, kill me.
And Tenchi does try to go in for his swing, and it is a complete failure. Kageto just effortlessly knocks him back. Kageto admits his plan all along was that he wants to end the direct bloodline of Jirai. But, something weird happens. During this, Ayeka gets mad out of nowhere, and she gets out easily. Which, like, cool. Fine, sure. Why didn't she been do that? And she can also throw Hadoukens? Like, what the fuck? Where'd that even come from? Like, she throws Hadoukens, but the Hadouken didn't do nothing to Kageto. He just kind of like brushed that off, and then, you know, she gets one-shotted trying to protect Tenchi. Tenchi then screams she's going to protect Ayeka, and the Jirai tree reacts and changes the area to look like an earth forest. Tenchi then feels emboldened and stronger from Jirai's power, and him and Kageto stand off, leading to Tenchi pulling out the win. And while losing, Kageto sees a vision of Yosho and Tenchi. Honestly, the final fight scene was short, but pretty well done, all considered. This hasn't been an action anime, really. Random note, though, 90s crying is so fucking funny in anime. Like, Ayeka running into Tenchi's arms, like, the way they cried in the 90s in anime, not the best acting, I swear. Well, not the best voice acting. They could have done a little bit better. But honestly, after all this seriousness, it made me appreciate the lighthearted funniness of the early episodes. And the last episode preview was actually pretty well done, I'm not gonna lie. It was very somber and was really giving you like, hey, this is the final goodbye. Like, heads up, this is it. The final episode is titled No Need for Conclusion. And it's a great wrap-up to appreciate the short but sweet journey. Tenchi basically is walking around, going about his normal day-to-day school life, reminiscing about the days the girls were all still on Earth, and swearing he's seeing visions of Ryoko's ghost. Which, for a second, I really thought she was dead. But thank God Ryoko didn't actually die, because, whew, had me shook for a second with all that imagery. Because she shows up anyway, you know, where she originally met Tenchi. Also, Aika runs away back to Earth to be back with Tenchi after he decides to not stay on Jirai to rule. But honestly, Ryoko deserves Tenchi. And I know she's toxic for him. I know Ryoko's toxic. But come on, incest? It's nasty, Aika. And plus, Ryoko has done nothing but ride out for Tenchi, honestly. She's a ride or die. And I feel like, maybe Tenchi could shape her up a little bit. I'm not saying she needs to be shaped up. She's really, really strong on her own. But I'm just saying. Hashtag Team Ryoko. But guys, don't worry. The whole crew comes back. The final line of the series are from Ryoko telling Tenchi,
I'll tell you something, my Tenchi. You know the carnival comes and goes. If you wait for a while, it'll always come back to you, Tenchi.
Which honestly, wow. Chef's kiss for ending dialogue. So, to wrap up this video, overall, do I think that Tenchi Muyo Tenchi Universe is actually good, or is it just nostalgia clouding our judgments? You know what I think it is? Honestly, growing up, I never saw it in its entirety in order. Sometimes I would miss an episode after school, but I think that's what drew me in at the age, was seeing a young male character have girls thrown at him, and he just didn't seem to have any interest or know what to do with them. It was honestly baffling at the time, but now that I watch a lot of anime, I realize it is so much more commonplace now for me to see a male anime protagonist have a whole bunch of women he's not interested in be around him all the time. It honestly could be the thirstiness of men and trying to make it seem like they are not mere mortals and they would never give into temptation, but that's neither here nor there. There are plenty of anime out now that def took inspiration from Tenchi Muyo, and it is still kind of a series that hasn't died since it has so many iterations like Tenchi in Tokyo and Tenchi Muyo War on Gemini. Tenchi Muyo as a series has evolved a lot over time. And if I'm being honest, Tenchi Muyo Tenchi Universe as a series is that. It is great chaotic fun, solid music, doesn't try to get deeper than what it is, all while having those comedic slice of life moments, romance, and space adventure elements. Overall, I can give Tenchi Universe a 7 out of 10. And I totally recommend checking it out if you're looking for something short and sweet to watch. It's a good time. But let me know your thoughts on Tenchi Muyo Tenchi Universe in the comment section below.
Top of the morning, 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 top of the morning.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be getting into an old school classic anime, Gundam Wing. And whether or not this series was actually dope, or is it just nostalgia, clouding our judgment to live in the past and not realize things for what they really are, unnecessarily increasing the quality of something we grew up on just because of fond memories. I mean, honestly, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, so I took the time to rewatch this series in English dub in its entirety, not including the movie Endless Waltz, for you. Not me, you.
Not me, not Hermione, you.
But before we get into the video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that notification bell to get notified for more content that I put out. As well as be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, as well as leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on Gundam Wing. So, without any further ado, let's just get into it, yeah?
If she ain't got a butt, fucking get into it, yeah.
So let's get into a series which may be the first anime that some of us watched because of Toonami in the year 2000. It was the 6th of March, and a grass fire of unknown origin was exacerbated by dry conditions and strong winds, burning 1,500 acres of grassland northwest and north of Brandon and Minnehaha County. The fire threatened several homes, but no homes were damaged, although farmland and some equipment burned. In a separate event on the same day, Gundam Wing, also known as New Mobile Report Gundam Wing in Japan, premiered on Cartoon Network in the United States to most of our surprise after school. Gundam Wing is the second series in the Gundam franchise to take place in an alternate continuity from the original Mobile Suit Gundam series, and not written by original creator Yoshiyuki Tomino, following G Gundam, which I will make a video about later. It was also the first Gundam series to air on American television. Gundam Wing's Japan run took place from April 7, 1995 to March 26, 1996 for a total of 49 episodes, while in the United States, Gundam Wing's Toonami run ran from March 6, 2000 to May 11, 2000, with reruns continuing until Cartoon Network lost the broadcast rights in 2002. Gundam Wing did well. Did okay in Japan when airing. It wasn't Japan's favorite, but it saw greater success in the US, airing on Toonami during a time when anime was seeing a big boom, with the success of Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon in the 90s. Now, with that being said, let me get into a little bit of the plot and the characters of Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing takes place in the future. Humans have colonized space, creating space colonies. Meanwhile on Earth, the nations have been unified as the United Earth Sphere Alliance. However, the Alliance oppresses the space colonies, go figure, with its military power, backed by this Illuminati-type organization known as the Organization of the Zodiac, more commonly known as Oz. The colonies desire a peaceful resolution to the situation, joining together in a movement headed by the reluctant hero Yui, not to be confused with our main character, who we will get into shortly. In the year after Colony 175, Yui is shot dead by an Oz assassin, silencing the colony's efforts for peace with Earth. The assassination also prompts 5 disaffected Oz engineers to turn rogue after the completion of the prototype mobile suit Tall Geese. Gundam Wing's main plot takes place in the year after Colony 195. With the start of Operation Meteor, the 5 rogue engineers plan for revenge against the Oz organization. This plan involves 5 teenage boys who have each been trained by one of the rogue engineers and sent to Earth independently in advanced mobile suits known as Gundams, each designed by one of the 5 engineers and based on both the Tall Geese prototype and the engineer's first collaborative Gundam design known as Wing Zero. Their mobile suits are called Gundams because they are constructed from a rare and durable material known as vibranium. Gundam alloy, which can only be created in outer space. After Zordon brings our heroes together, but back on a serious note, the 5 Gundam pilots, Hero Yui, an alias not to be confused with the assassinated leader, Duo Maxwell, Troa Barton, Katra Rababa, Winner, or Winer, or Wiener, whatever, and Chang Wufei are each ordered to use their powerful mobile suits to destroy Oz before they fulfill their secret plan to overthrow the Alliance from the inside and conquer both Earth and the colonies. Though they are initially unaware of each other's existence, once the Gundam pilots realize they have the same objective of destroying Oz, and in some cases the same missions, they band together to help each other in restoring freedom to the colonies. So let's get into the characters. Hero Yui, which some of you guys might remember as a emo dude with the green tank top. Hero Yui, 15-year-old pilot of the Gundam Wing, and later the Wing Gundam Zero, which honestly looks like most of the other Gundams from the other series, and I am more referencing the Burning and Shining Gundam from G Gundam. But hey, what do I know? I am not a Gundam expert. As well, he's the main protagonist of the series. The boy known as Hero is the most serious and grim of the Gundam pilots. Basically, a Sasuke Uchiha and every other anime edgelord prototype. His true name is unknown, but for Operation Meteor, he's been codenamed after the martyred leader of the space colonies, raised by the scientist Dr. J in the L1 colony cluster. Hero has been trained since childhood to be a ruthless battle machine, equally proficient in mobile suit piloting, personal combat, demolitions, and computer hacking. Then we have Duo Maxwell, my personal favorite. Duo is also 15 years old, and he's the pilot of the Gundam Death Scythe, which honestly is probably the dopest Gundam design to me alone because of the size. And don't try to change my mind. He's an orphan of U.S. descent who was raised by the L2 Colony Cluster's Social Services Program. By the age of 15, he had already been working field operations and as a mechanic. Duo calls himself the God of Death because of the amount of death he witnessed early in his life. 9-year-old me must have thought this shit was so dope as a name. Despite his hardships and trauma, Duo was pretty chill, and he has a cheerful outlook. Next, we got Troa Barton. Troa is also 15 years old, and he's a pilot of the Gundam Heavy Arms. Easily the trashiest Gundam out of the 5, in my opinion. Like the title, this Gundam depends on heavy shooting. The amount of times this Gundam runs out of ammo and has to resort to just throwing his guns at enemies and then getting washed up is actually hilarious. Troa is a man of mystery and has basically revealed nothing of his past. Hailing from the L3 colony cluster, he brought his Gundam to Earth without detection by disguising himself as a circus clown. While similar to Hero in personality, he's a warrior only by necessity and only fights only when needed. Next, we have Katra Rababa Winner, or Winer, or Wiener. My bad again. Katra is the 15-year-old pilot of the Gundam Sandrock. I don't love this Gundam design, but I don't hate it either. He is the youngest child and only male in a family of 30 children. His 29 sisters were test tube babies, and Katra was born naturally. Sheesh, boy, that's crazy. His father was a wealthy aristocrat who was more of a pacifist from the L4 cluster colony who was opposed to the rule of Oz. Katra didn't really have that bad of a childhood, but deals with the usual storyline of having been the only male in his family and having to inherit his father's fortune and political power. He's not the strongest pilot, but he does excel in battle strategy and tactics. Also, along with Duo, he has to be the most likable personality and has the best character traits in my opinion. And our last pilot is Chang Wufei, our pilot of the Shenlong Gundam, which is pretty dope and reminds me of Sai Saichi's Gundam from G Gundam. Wufei descends from Chang's, an esteemed family of Chinese warriors, and is from the L5 colony cluster. Due to his heritage of honor and integrity, Wufei arbors the Alliance. Although he has aligned himself with Sally Po and her rebels, he prefers to work alone. When he was younger, he was more quiet and cerebral, but his unwillingness to fight led to the death of his wife, Melan, or Milan, My bad. Again, a strong girl who took the responsibility of protecting the colony and the newly built Shenlong Gundam onto herself and was killed in battle. In memory of her, Wu Fei then chose to carry out her path of justice and refuses to fight those he sees as weak, such as pacifists, women, and children. This sounds noble, but in actuality, Wu Fei is easily tied as my least favorite character, next to Hiro Yui. He's just a dick and annoying, and don't tell me he's just a traumatized kid, I don't care. Then we have Relena Peacecraft. Relena is a 15-year-old pampered adopted daughter of an Earth Alliance Foreign Affairs Minister and the undisputed queen bee of her posh private school, who just wants to be Mixie so bad. She meets Hiro and clings to him thinking he's the spice she's been looking for. When Relena's foster father is assassinated by Oz, he reveals with his dying words Relena's true identity, and she decides to continue the pacifist work of her real father, King Peacecraft, by becoming a leading advocate for peace and non-violence in a world full of chaos. As the daughter of King Peacecraft, Relena is one of the heirs to the Saint Kingdom. She decides to reunite her country under the banner of non-aggression and slowly gathers our protagonists together throughout the story, all while being in love with Hiro. Don't really know why she's in love with him, but anime, I guess. Next, we have Zex Marquise. Zex is our resident Racer X from Speed Racer. I joke. I kid. But he's the guy we remember with the cool looking mask growing up and is our rival to our hero, Hiro. He is a pilot for the Alliance Elite Special Forces, which is a front for Oz, and is the first pilot to master the mobile suit prototype Tallgeese. He is a hero to the special members and the trusted friend of their leader, Treize. Zex is shrewd and cautious, wary of taking unnecessary risks or underestimating his enemies. Zex's mask hides his dark secret. He's actually the son of King Peacecraft, heir to the Saint Kingdom, and Relena's long-lost older brother, whose name is Miliardo Peacecraft. Bum bum bum.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Honestly, his dual identity gets exposed so early on that it's not even that big of a deal to the characters in the series, because they end up addressing him by both names a lot. Lastly, we have Treize Kushranada. Treize is an aristocrat, Oz Supreme Commander. Treize gained control of the Alliance military through clever manipulation of Earth's ongoing power struggle with the colonies. Seen as charismatic, intelligent, and cunning, but is also ruthless and will take out our heroes at any chance. I won't get too much into his character as of now, since his development alone spoils a lot of the plot, which I'll get into shortly. So, that was our plot, that was the characters, that's a little quick summary. Now, let's get into my thoughts about this series.
What the heck? That's the mobile suit! It's a Gundam! Round and destroy it! Going 5 areas like there was nothing! Enemy attack! Enemy attack!
Ground space, every one of us!
Mission accepted.
So now that I've given you all a refresher on the plot, details, and characters of Gundam Wing, I will now get into what I liked about the anime and what I didn't. Honestly, the anime starts off pretty strong, actually. I can't even hold you. I could see the younger me watching this as a kid, like, whoa, what an epic cliffhanger ending, and I wonder what's going to happen to Relena after stalking Hiro, after crashing on Earth from this big space battle with the mask guy. No, seriously, what's good with this girl? She literally becomes obsessed with Hiro and doesn't know a thing about him, and he constantly offers her to smoke and says to her, and I quote, "I'll kill you."
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
After sneaking in as a student to her school and embarrass her in front of everyone when she tries to flex and invite this cute new boy to her birthday party, because, why not? Why not invite a strange, cute boy who wants to kill you to your birthday party in front of all your classmates? Which, honestly, to me, as you get more into the series, I feel like that should have been the subtitle under the main title. Gundam Wing. I'll kill you. I also don't know why the whole class is obsessed with her. Honestly, it's giving me Comey can't communicate vibes. But regardless of my confusion as to why she's obsessed with Hiro, the first episode was really entertaining. Mixy, but entertaining. Almost like this show we used to watch on Sundays called Euphoria. Anyway, honestly, the series stays entertaining for the first couple episodes. We get introduced to a ton of strong female characters, which honestly, I have to give this series credit for making the female characters in this show extremely well written, strong, and independent thinkers. However, they make sure they don't pilot any mobile suits throughout the series. Look, by episode 4, we meet a character named Noin who pimp slaps the fuck out of someone. Then we get introduced to Lady Un, which honestly, she might be bae because she's cold as ice, boy. Obviously, we start to get introduced to our other pilots as more episodes progress. We get introduced to a lot of them just doing their own thing on Earth and doing whatever mission was specifically chosen for them. But kind of in a dramatic fashion. Troa being in a circus and his last name being Barton is giving me heavy Hawkeye Clint Barton vibes. And by the end of episode 4, Wu Fei's dramatic scream from his ordeal just has me weak. Duo and Catra though, their introductions were pretty good, and honestly at this point, they already start to outshine Hero as a protagonist and a character. You might be wondering why I'm not getting into the specifics of each episode introduction for the pilots, and honestly, it's because their introduction isn't much different from every other episode in the series. Most of the series follows our pilots doing random missions that we don't even see being assigned to them. Some episodes we may have 1 to 3 pilots team up because their individual missions led them to cross paths or meet for the first time, and in best interest, they end up working together for a common goal, but a lot of it is just blowing up random Oz bases and battles with fodder mobile suits just to show off how much better our main characters are at fighting than Oz scrubs. Which, don't get me wrong, the fight scenes are pretty good in the series and don't disappoint when they happen. It's just that I didn't understand why certain things were happening. They were just happening. But maybe it's because I'm stupid.
I guess.
However, on the other end, for the Oz side of the story, things are a little bit more interesting. Motivations are explained a little bit better, and we get more characterization for Treize, Zex, Unknowing, and the other characters introduced to be fighting on the Oz side. This really comes to a head by episode 10. Treize arrives at Oz headquarters. He sees the Tallgeese outside. He claims Zex is the only one who could pilot the Tallgeese. Lady Yun thinks Treize shouldn't give Zex too much power, but Treize isn't concerned. They meet Knowing and Zex in Treize's office, and Lady Yun, who's in charge of the next operation, says she's giving strategy instructions at 1600, and they are to come. Knowing goes with her, but Treize requests that Zex stay. Zex and Treize talk. Zex requests to continue serving Treize, and Treize consents. He wonders why Zex hasn't removed his mask yet. Zex still says he wears his mask as a mark of distinction. Before Zex leaves, Treize calls him Miliardo Peacecraft.
He said it! He said it!
That night in the headquarters war room, Lady Un announces a plan to move the Taurus mobile suits to the Oz base in Siberia in order to install battle data in them. While transferring them there will also be a false transport. Un wants the Gundams to arrive so they can be annihilated. She then proceeds to give strategies on how to defeat each individual Gundam, while also giving each one a number-based name for distinction. 01 through 05, as their actual names are unknown to Oz. While this is going down, Hero and Duo, who are currently together in his dorm room as Hero is still acting like he's a student at Relina's school, hear about this mission and decide to go there. Falling for the trap, Catra and Troa are also together and decide to go to Siberia as well. Wu Fei, who has been alone most of the time, also decides to go. Our pilots all fall for this trap, and an epic battle ensues in Siberia. Hero versus Zex and his Tallgeese, and the other Gundams doing their own thing. Lady announces to the Gundam pilots that if they do not surrender and hand over their Gundams, she will launch missiles at the colonies from Space Fortress Barge. Duo, Troa, and Catra immediately halt their actions upon hearing this. While Zex seizes his duel with Hero and contacts Un, he says this isn't what Treize wants, but Un refuses to listen and slaps Knowing when she claims Zex is right. When none of the Gundam pilots make an intent to give into her demands, Un orders Barge to fire the missiles. Suddenly, Dr. J comes on all the monitors in the headquarters and the Gundams, claiming that the colonies are not involved and this is his own personal battle with Oz. He then agrees to surrender. Hero emerges from his Gundam's cockpit following this, and Zex is shocked to see that he's just a boy. Dr. J repeats that he'll surrender, but adds he will not hand over the Gundams. And Hero then activates a device that self-detonates the Wing Gundam. His body flies from the explosion and crashes nearby, while Wing's trash frame collapses to the ground. Everyone is shocked that Hero sacrificed his life for the colonies. Gundam Heavy Arms picks up Hero's body, and Zex lets them retreat along with the other 2 Gundams. Lady Yun is notified by Knowing that Treize is indeed disappointed with her recent tactics. Troa drives off in his truck while Hero remains in Heavy Arms' hands. Honestly, that synopsis I found for the episode really does show how strong it really is. It is a perfect culmination of the many different factions we've seen over the first 11 episodes come together. After this point, weird dumb things start to happen. For some reason, after all that happened in Siberia, the series decides to keep Hero alive.
Ooh, bullshit, 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 bullshit. No, no drinks for me, thanks. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Fine, he's the main character. I get it. Do I think you have better options to choose from our 5 pilots? Yes, but he's alive, which made the sacrifice to me so inconsequential. Also, Zex becomes obsessed with rebuilding Hero's Gundam behind the scenes so that he can have his honorable rematch with him, while our other pilots separate and regroup, which okay, I get it. Anime. But bruh, you are supplying your enemy with their weapon. They destroyed themselves, all in the name of honor. Like bruh, we gonna act like it's not some funky shit going on in the world right now? Like come on, this writing and character choice for him is just unbelievable and almost seemed out of character based on how cold and calculated he was earlier in the series. I guess this is the Miliardo Peacecraft in him? The best thing to happen over these course of episodes after Siberia is Relina really starts to find her character. I haven't brought up too much about Relina at this point past episode 1 because as a character she doesn't really have too much going on. And she isn't really doing too many actionable things to note throughout the story, besides being a love-struck damsel in distress. But by episode 6, she starts to show some conviction, especially following her father's death, and wanting to actually change the world. I was expecting to get her so much more fleshed out by now. Hell, I mean, even the outro song, which is fire, and visuals, make her have so much more personality and don't get to shine in the story itself. I was expecting to get so much more fleshed out by now. The girl is the face that they show every time the character select screen eye catcher comes up. She should be doing so much more. But bruh, does it escalate quickly in episode 11? Relena is at this dinner party since she is now kind of a political figure. As a teenager, I guess, and Oz people and Lady Un are there. She knows Lady Un is why her father is dead, basically. And in the middle of this dinner party, Relena pulled out a strap and let off on Un, and boy...
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
I respect it, but she missed. After this, Noin decided that she wanted to ride out with Relena and kind of help her throughout her cause, which is dope, but guess what? You might as well call this your final goodbye for Relena, because you won't see her again for the next third of the series. The series then starts to try to get deep into the psyche of how all of our pilots are scarred from battle, but they are so good at it, and are wise for their age, and are so selfless for doing this, which all in all is fine and commendable, except most of these characters have done a horrible job of actually showing that. And I can't blame the characters, I mean I could, but I guess it's just the writing in the script. All the pilot... All... All the pilots and the characters throughout the series up until now and through the entirety fail to show us their emotions. They tell, but they don't show. None of these emotions they are saying they have and emotions other characters are saying the pilots have aren't believable. A lot of the dialogue is them responding back and forth to each other with these shallow, deep quotes that don't even connect to the conversation. Someone will ask them a question and the response will always be a random deep quote that makes them seem so wise, but honestly it's really dumb. Like, bro, you didn't even answer the question. Would you like fries with your burger? Violets are red and roses are blue. Like, bro, okay, cute, you deep, but what they gotta do with what we talking about?
That's no good.
But I digress. So, after Zex rebuilds Gundam 01, he basically invited Hero to Antarctica through Noin. And, as his thanks, he tells Zex he'll return the favor by killing him. They duke it out anime style, except Hero decides to use Troa's heavy arm just because Zex didn't reinstall the self-detonation device, this bozo. But in the middle of their fight, Relena pulls out a boss move and interrupts their fight by flying a plane into the middle of it. Dumb, but brave. On the way there, though, she has no idea why the Romefeller Foundation, the real assholes behind Oz, want to get rid of Zex. However, Noin contacts Relena and reveals to her that Zex is her older brother, Miliardo Peacecraft. She further explains to Relena that in order for her brother to get revenge on the Alliance for destroying the Saint Kingdom, he joined Oz and donned the mask. Once Oz took over the Earth and he got his revenge, he lost his purpose, and now he only wants to battle the Gundam pilots for the sake of understanding what drives them. The rest of the search party's fleet arrives. Troa tells Hero and Zex that the three of them should be able to fight off the fleet together. However, Zex instead declares he'll take on the fleet alone, saying he'll surrender once everyone escapes. He tells Hero they'll continue their duel another day, and also asks Noin to take care of Relena for him. Troa converts Wing Gundam into bird mode and picks up heavy arms to give Hero a ride out. In her plane, Relena is relieved that she was able to stop the battle. Now, after this point in the video, I won't get too much into episode synopsises. I just really want to kind of, hone in big parts of the story that happened at this point. I mean, if you guys want to rewatch, you can rewatch to kind of fill in the gaps for yourself. But from here on, I'm going to be bullshitting.
That's some bullshit.
This is where the show no longer made any sense to me. The pilots end up being split up all over space and are just doing random things. Troa is undercover in Oz. Catra is dealing with family shit, being the blonde, blue-eyed prince of an Arabic nation colony. Kinda weird. Just saying. Wu Fei is doing mad brooding just because he lost in a fight against Trace. And he's being sexist and an asshole. And, if you can't tell, I never enjoy Wu Fei. I'll just leave it at that. Duo is getting mixed up with this random girl, and Hero is doing whatever he wants, just fighting when he feels like. This portion of the story, when they are in space, is really, really weak. Granted, I'll say this. This is the most time we actually have the pilots interacting with each other. And honestly, they are way more interesting together than they are separate throughout the series. While they are in space, shit is going down on Earth, but just focus on Oz and Romefeller and not so much Relena. She disappears for some odd reason. Lady Un has a split personality, one that's a savage and one that's just in love OD with Trace, which I really don't think that was a good choice to make. We realize that Trace is not even the villain we should be worried about, which is kind of a letdown because there was this, oh, he's the big boss energy about him from the start, just to realize, nah, he actually wants peace for everyone, but he knows he has to do bad things. But as he is running Oz, the Roman-Feller Foundation, who wants to just rule everything, decides to get him out of here, and they find him useless. And then boom, the Jaeger faction is born. I mean, the Trace faction. I do love me a good coup d'etat. Zex gets the Tolgies destroyed since Roman-Feller basically was hunting his ass down everywhere and fighting him with random mobile suits wearing him down. But no worries, he then decides to take on the identity of Miliardo Peacecraft, and no one knows the difference. He ends up blending back into the politics of it all. False, that's literally not how it went down. People deadass know he's the same person, and they really just act like he isn't for some reason. He just freely switches between identities throughout the whole series, and everyone knows he's the same person. For all that, just keep the same name. Relena gets reintroduced into the later part of the series, making her a pawn to the Roman-Feller Foundation to act as Queen of the Earth, which, not that bad, honestly. But she's aware and tries her best to get her way while being used as a pawn to create total pacifism for the galaxy, but it isn't much more interesting than that. However, they do give us this anti-Relena, whose name is Dorothy Catalonia, which looks just like Relena, but she's a sicko granddaughter of this dude in the Roman-Feller Foundation who is obsessed with war and thinks it's beautiful. She stays by Relena's side being sneaky as hell, and she's shiesty, but really, she's just sticking along since she knows Relena attracts trouble and is somewhat manipulating her to take actions which will hopefully lead to a bigger fight somewhere else since she just enjoys seeing war. Because she's a sicko, like I said. This scientist out of nowhere ends up helping Zex at some point, and he starts kind of doing his own thing on the side. As Trace is also doing his own thing on the side with his faction and creates the Epion, which I'm not even going to hold you. Epion Gundam might be the best Gundam in the series. It really gives me OD Master Gundam vibes from G Gundam again.
Nice.
But Trace eventually gives the Gundam the hero in this random encounter just cause, and Zex ends up with the Wing Zero. But the two end up fighting each other and then swapping Gundams anyway. Whatever. Don't know why that happened. Don't even know why we did the other thing in the first place, but here we are. Also, why is Wu-Fei so toxic talking about the weak shouldn't be fighting when the weak fight, they give in and lose their minds? This is like the pot calling the kettle black, and he dead toe knowing. Sounds like something a woman would say. Bro, who is this dude, son? I hate him. He's trash. I hate him.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Also, there's this weird, like, Troa amnesia plot that's mid as hell, and Noin really steps up, actually, during a lot of part of the story during his amnesia part. Tubarov, who's this guy in Roman-Feller, really has some sexual relationship with his mobile dolls. Oh yeah, there's this new fodder that they had called mobile dolls instead of just having people in mobile suits now. They get introduced into the second half of the story, and it's basically now mobile dolls remotely controlled and programmed for battle, which Dorothy thinks is a no-no, since battle is something that is beautiful between humans. While this is all going down, the Roman-Feller Foundation is attacking colony people and anyone housing the Trace faction. All while we get this constant push for pacifism. They do a horrible job of explaining what it means for the show. They just say it over and over and over and over again, and never really define it. While in space, our pilots run to the scientists who originally made the Gundams, and these guys are just assholes. They also don't really care what happens to the colonies, they just want to make shit. The pilots constantly separate and connect with each other, which is fine, but sucks, because like I said, they are more interesting together than they are apart. Honestly, the story is just much more interesting when Hero is connected with Duo, Troa pre-amnesia, and Catra. And honestly, in my opinion, the story would have probably been better if it was through the struggle of Catra, who was the most human out of all the pilots. Also, this random faction comes out of nowhere called the White Fang, which also sounds like a team from Zoid's New Century, but we found out the White Fang is actually led by Zex, and Zex has decided to actually just destroy the Earth. Legit scorch Earth method, since he feels like this is the only way to get peace for the colonies. Meanwhile, Trace ends up in power again after one of the heads of Roman-Feller, Dorothy's grandfather, is killed, and now is trying to stop Zex from destroying the Earth. All the while, both of them, for some reason, have this underlying plan that after all the people will be so scared from this war that there will be peace, and Relena will get to rule in total pacifism, which seems like a good idea, I guess, but bruh, now you just want to destroy the Earth? That don't really make no sense to me, but whatever. Throughout the series, all the characters swear Hero is deeper than what he actually is. They're always asking and saying, oh, what would Hero do? And they'd be like, oh, I'm sure that's what he's thinking. Bro, he's not a role model. That's what bothered me. But also goes to show why everyone else's motivations just seem so unearned. I don't know, man. So if it sounds like I'm really all over the place during this like review and kind of like how I'm giving my thoughts in the series, that's because this series is all over the place for the most part as well. It's it really just doesn't know what it's doing. And I do know there's some back end things that happened during production that kind of messed up the scripting and who was working on what of the story. But all that being said, literally by episode 40, they legit have to have a dialogue between some random soldier and the doc who helped Zex in order to explain what's even going on in the show. Saying who's at war and what the different factions are, like where the pieces are and who's actually, like, what everybody's objectives are. Like, we don't really know what's going on until this even happens. And even then, I still don't know what's going on. Like I said, I might be dumb though.
True, and yeah, that's pretty true. That's true, and yeah, that's true. That's true.
Also, they waited until episode 41 to change the intro song. There are 49 episodes. Why would you wait till episode 41 to change the intro song? Whatever. Another character choice that I end up hating in the story after this point is that Noin folded from doing her own thing all these episodes and helping the pilots in space and ended up joining Zex as soon as he pulled up and was on some I wanted to betray him, but now I see that pretty face, I could never type shit. But anyway, with all my random rambling, we are at the climax of the story. The final war between Earth and the colonies, Zex versus Treize. All while Relena is kidnapped, kind of, during it, but gets saved by her bae, Hero. And all the pilots are trying to figure out whose side they should be on while Mommy and Daddy fight. And by Mommy and Daddy, I'm talking about Treize and Zex. They really just end up finding whoever wants to smoke, honestly. Because like I said, no one gives these kids any real direction. They're just doing stuff. And honestly, why does it take until the episode before the last for Hero to finally be like, believe in me, Relena, and say he swore to protect her? Bro, all series, he said he was going to kill her. And now he has some type of romantic interest in her in some type of way. Like, how am I supposed to believe this shit? I don't believe this shit. Did you believe this shit when you watched it? I don't know. Let me know.
No! God, please, no! No!
Oh, and Dorothy really ends up challenging who she's not even a pilot. Dorothy's not a pilot, bro. She's just mixy and spicy. But she ends up challenging Catra to a duel and did the most to piss him off and get under his skin. She really is a psycho. She lost, but she's a psycho. Kind of like it though.
Nice!
Oh, and then Wu Fei feels bad for killing Treize because he ends up actually getting to kill Treize after this point and realizing Treize actually remembers every single person who died in battle. And Wu Fei starts crying and saying he didn't think that he'd win. Like, what the fuck was the point of all this thing? All series, bro, he was fixated on actually trying to kill Treize because Treize whooped him in a duel. And he's shocked because he realizes Treize is more human than he thought because he remembers every single name of the people who fought for him. Which just shows that your boy Miliardo, or whatever he want to be called, is really, really dead ass about this plan. The final episode is basically Hero versus Zex, and they show it to everyone in the colonies on Earth. They like do this big projector screen to everybody so they can see it. Don't know how they did it, but fine. They're trying to make everyone feel the misery of combat. This series over and over and over again tries to make me believe Hero is too pure and too kind, and I don't get it. The dialogue on war is just so dumb. Like, they be calling each other kind, and it's annoying. Hero gets in front of a piece of Libra, you know, the shit that the White Fang stole from Romanfella to use as a base and means to blow up the Earth, and blows it up before it can enter Earth's atmosphere, and Zex kills himself. Fine. The series ends with, like, I guess a time skip. Relena is going by Dorlin again and not Peacecraft as some diplomat. She gets on a plane and Hero's in disguise and he passes her, leaving her a teddy bear with a note. And she rips it up and looks at him through the window and says, "Next time, give it to me in person." And then the series just goes, the end. Alright, so that's my Spark Notes of Gundam Wing. You felt like it was all over the place? You felt like it was shitty? So be it. I mean, the series is all over the place and kind of shitty, if I'm being honest. I mean, yes, this is my first time doing a video in this format, in long form, and actually trying to write a script. It took me a minute. Overall, do I think Gundam Wing is actually good, or is it just nostalgia clouding our judgment? You know what I think it is? Honestly, growing up, I never saw Gundam Wing in its entirety in order. A lot of the time, it was random episodes, and I was so young, I didn't know what was going on. I saw cool fights, cool robots, and visuals I wasn't used to seeing in American cartoons. And looking back on it, I could see why younger me thought it was fire. But younger me was also not looking at the plot. And I know some people say it's good for the time, but honestly with G Gundam, video coming soon, releasing before this, and anime such as Ghost in the Shell, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Tenchi Universe, video also coming soon, releasing the same year, I can't really excuse the poor quality of the direction of this show. The character dialogue is shallow as all hell, and it's really trying to sound smarter about war than it actually is. And that's sad, given Gundam is a series that usually does a good job depicting it. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend anyone who has just a, nah, Gundam Wing is fire, bro, that used to be my shit back in the day type of energy. Like, if you haven't watched it in 20 years, and that's like literally the only, you know, memory you have of it, don't do it. If you love Gundam though, sure, go for it. But in good conscience, anyone I'm actually friends with, I would tell them not to watch this series and maybe watch G Gundam instead, which I think is sillier and doesn't take itself as serious, all while being funny and action-packed. Overall, Gundam Wing, I could give it a 4 out of 10. And that's because the fight scenes are actually just that good. But let me know your thoughts on Gundam Wing in the comment section below. You know, what you think about the video as well, and if you think what I'm talking about is absolute nonsense. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit me with a like. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that notification bell. Because guess what? I am going to be making a Tenchi Muyo video soon. So, on that note, y'all, enjoy your life.